Hey, this is Brian Lee from Tesla, and you're listening to Thunder Underground.
Welcome to episode 312 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent and Jason here as always. And this week we've got a good one because we've got Brian Wheat of Tesla joining us.
Tesla member number 2.
That's right. And actually the 4th appearance because
True.
Frank's been on here 3 times.
Right.
So if you're a Tesla fan and you're here for the first time, you've got at least 3 other episodes you need to check out. And we've got a ton of other ones you probably can too, but we'll get to that later.
Of course.
But yes, coming up, Brian Wheat of Tesla has a brand new autobiography that just came out about a month ago. And he's here to talk about that. We're going to play some music. We're going to talk about some other things. But first, we need to let you know who we're sponsored by. And that would be Hella Hot Hot Sauce, a hot sauce company based out of the San Francisco Bay Area. They make small batch artisan hot sauces. You can check everything out on their website at hellahothhotsauce.com. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram as well, which is also Hella Hot Hot Sauce. If you're on the West Coast, they sell them in a lot of stores out there. So get on the website to find out where you can buy the stuff. And if you're anywhere else, you can order it right there online as well. We've had some of the Florida Frank's Florida Heat, and it is hot as hell, but it is flavorful. We definitely need to let you know that if you're sensitive to heat, this might not be for you, but if you like some hot sauce, I promise you'll love the hot sauces from Hella Hot Hot Sauce. Check them out online and tell them we sent you. DEB Concerts, a promoter based right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They brought a ton of great shows to the downtown Tulsa area. Stuff like Saxon, Last in Line, Sebastian Bach, Warrant, Lita Ford, all kinds of great stuff. They also booked the Roadhouse stage at Rocklahoma every year, and they've brought some great acts out there as well, such as Ace Frehley and Slaughter. And we'll be talking about that once the announcement's made for Rocklahoma this coming September. But until then, we need to let you know that the show we've been talking about for a couple months on April 10th with Queensryche, Lita Ford, the Bullet Boys, and Nita Strauss has, of course, been postponed, like everything else these days. And we got word from Doug to just mention that, hey, he keeps booking shows, but COVID keeps postponing them. So they'll keep trying, and eventually we'll get back to having shows. So follow debconcerts.com or get on that website, debconcerts.com, and follow them on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram so you can be kept up to date on any of these reschedules from that show and any of the previous ones that got postponed as well. And we'll, of course, keep you up to date here as well. Also, we've got Sunset Tattoo shop based in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Midtown Tulsa. Give them a call or shoot them a message to set up a time that you can get in there to talk to Jake or one of his crew members there, one of his other tattoo artists, to talk about what work you want to have done. They do great work. We know people personally that have had work done. And in fact, maybe here in an episode or two, you might get to hear from one of us about that.
You never know.
You never know. But until then, get on Sunset Tattoo Tulsa Facebook page or at Sunset Tattoo on Instagram. You can see all the pictures of all their work. It's great. They do great work. Check out Sunset Tattoo Tulsa and tell them that we sent you. And finally, we've got MedFarm, a dispensary located in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, 24683 East Highway 51. They're right off the highway. You can't miss them. All their selection, which is pretty large, is available to see right on leafly.com. If you shoot them a message via email or text or give them a call, you can place your order ahead of time. Then all you have to do is drive right through their drive-thru, quick and easy. They also have specials that they're always running on their social medias, so follow them on Facebook, MedFarm, that's PHARM, and Instagram is MedFarmOK. Their website's medfarmok.com. And if you mention Thunder Underground, they give you 10% off your first order, which is great. And what is really great is 30% of their proceeds are going to build no-kill animal shelters. Can't stress that enough, that's a great reason to get over there to support them, because they're supporting animals that need help. Definitely worth your drive, because we know there's dispensaries all over the place, so there's a good reason to choose MedFarm. So get over there and tell them you heard about them here. All right, so you want to talk about Dead Daisies first? Do you want to play some music, or you want to talk about something else?
Let me get two things I want to talk about out of the way.
Okay.
They're quick.
All right.
I think I texted you about this band, I don't know, a week or two ago, you and Jason, but the band Lowest Creature.
I don't remember that.
Really? Well, I don't know.
Could have been
It was the group text,
in like,
and it was during my vacation, so there could have been some barley pops involved.
right.
Maybe I didn't, but anyways, and this is just one of those like random, my Spotify daily mixes, my thrash, Big Four, whatever they put, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
You get the idea. And they put in this, I start hearing this band, and I'm like, this reminds me a lot like Power Trip.
Okay.
And I look, and it's this band called Lowest Creature. And I look them up, and they're from England. And they have like 2 records out. And I engulfed them immediately. Hell, and what kind of brought me back to it today is I listened to both records today at work. Thrash-tastic. If you love, like I said, it reminds me a lot of Power Trip. Has that vibe. If you love Toxic Holocaust, Slayer, Suicidal, just that kind of thrash stuff, Lowest Creature is the fucking shit.
Okay.
You got to check them out.
I might have heard them because I heard a band a while back on Sirius on Liquid Metal that when it started, I'm like, is this a Power Trip song? I don't know. And then I just looked down and saw that it was some other band. And I just thought it was weird that this band sounded like Power Trip. And I thought, well, maybe Power Trip sounds like this band, whoever it is.
Well, I dig the shit out of them.
I'll definitely check it out.
So check them out. Everybody out there, check them out. Lowest Creature. Also, and then the other thing I wanted to tell you about or ask you about is lately in the press, Rob Flynn has been, well, today he put his he celebrated the 3rd anniversary of Catharsis, or the 4th, came out in 2017, whatever, I think.
Yeah.
And, he said, this is maligned by a lot of people, even former band members. And then, there's the whole thing. I listened to Phil Dimmel on Dean Delray today. And, he kind of went into the Machine Head stuff at the beginning.
Is that where the quote came from?
Yes, the quote.
The Blabbermouth quote about
I don't ever need to talk to him. And then I don't know. I haven't seen his Instagram in forever, but our phones fucking listen to us and they know what we're doing. So, all of a sudden I start seeing Phil Dimmel's Instagram, and he, on his Instagram stories, he has a whole 30-minute rundown of Catharsis. Like what, song by song, I guess, or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have time to watch it, but I'm just saying it's out there and I'm going to watch it. So.
Is it like his response to whatever Rob Flynn said, you think?
Maybe, I don't know. It was from last night. Because I saw the very beginning. He's like, all right, it's Tuesday night and we're here in the music room or whatever the shit. And it was like 26 minutes. So I didn't have time at the moment this afternoon to watch it. I'm going to check that out. I'm interested to see what he thinks of it.
Yeah.
Because we all know he didn't like it. So, 30 minutes, I don't know if he's, what he's going to do. So,
right.
What he's going to say. So anyways, and I was, and I always thought that was just a weird record because I loved it so much. And I've always liked Machine Head, but like their records never really they're good for a few listens, but I just kind of, right on. And you've been like such a huge Machine Head fan, right? And I think it kind of was, opposite for us, Catharsis. I think it hit me a little more than it hit you, if I can remember.
Yeah.
So I just, what'd you think?
Well, when it came out, I loved it. I think probably just because it was new.
Yeah.
And I'd listened to it a lot, but that's a good point because I listened to it all the way through not that long ago, in the past few months, and didn't hit me the same way it did before, the way some of their other albums do. Right. And there's a few songs on there, like the title track, Catharsis. I freaking love that song, and I could listen to that every day.
Yeah.
And there's other songs on there, like Triple Beam, that are cool.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, there's so many songs, well, like Triple Beam, for instance, there's so many songs that are just it's kind of all over the place. Because most of their albums kind of seem to what's a good word, flow,
Mhm.
or have kind of a
Right.
common style to it, whereas
Yeah.
this one kind of like, well, here's like a conglomeration of everything Machine Head's ever done in one album,
Yeah.
which sometimes bands do, and it's cool. And I don't dislike the album, but maybe that's the reason that it didn't stick with
see.
me. I don't know.
I see. Well, I just thought that was interesting because,
Volatile is a great song too.
right. Yeah. Oh, totally. It was interesting because, there's been a few things said in the press about it. So I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah. Well, that's the album with Bastards too, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
is a great song.
I love
Yeah.
that song. I've said this on the podcast before. That song, I didn't cry, but that song got me choked up.
Yeah.
That was a very powerful song, I thought. So,
Yeah. Same here.
I really, really enjoyed that record.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's play some music now.
Let's do it.
We're going to play a band called Red Voodoo. And if you're familiar with that term, you might be a Sammy Hagar fan. I think these guys are too, but we'll talk about that more in a bit. This song is called Bring It Back.
Today's music ain't
back, the new single from Red Voodoo. That's the third single they released. They had a Christmas song come out, and then 2 other non-Christmas singles, Rise Up and Bring It Back Now. The singer of Red Voodoo, Dino McCord, actually joined us recently for an interview, and we're going to have that podcast here in the next week or so. If you're a Tesla fan, you might have seen this name flying around if you follow Tesla on social media, Frank Hannon, because Frank Hannon actually produced this band and helped get them to the notoriety they're at now.
Right.
And that same episode, we're going to feature another guy that Frank Hannon has something to do with, and that's Austin Moe. We'll have an interview with him as well. So I think if you're a Tesla fan, you should check that out. Red Voodoo, man, these guys are all late teens. I think one of them's like 21. And like I mentioned to you, I think that guitar sounds killer. He's got a great voice. I know you're a fan of the guitar work.
Oh, yeah, that guy can play.
Looking forward to that one. Check out this band, Red Voodoo, if this is the first time you heard of it. Be on the lookout for what they've got coming this year. And, of course, stay subscribed here to us so you don't miss that episode next week. All right, so Dead Daisies. Brand new album came out just last week, actually, called Holy Ground.
Right.
It's the, fifth studio album from Dead Daisies. They've also got a covers album in there and a live album. But this is the first album to feature one Glenn Hughes.
Right.
On vocals and bass. And I believe this will be the first album that is a 4-piece. Because all the other ones, Corabi was the singer on 3 of the 4. The first album was, I forgot that dude's name.
Yeah, me too.
But anyway, here we are. 2021. We got Glenn Hughes on board. And anyone that knows me knows I'm a fanboy of Glenn Hughes and John Corabi.
Yes.
And I even said that on this podcast when we first found out, like a year ago, that this happened, that this sucks because I was really happy that Corabi was finally a part of a group that was kind of making some noise, and, you know, he's kind of back out there in the spotlight somewhat, so to speak. And then now he's not. And I'm like, well, there's very few people that could replace that and I'd be okay with. And Glenn Hughes is one of those few people.
Yeah, and look at that. Glenn Hughes, yeah.
And then I will just say up front that as much as I love Corabi, Glenn Hughes joining this band took it to another level but it's almost to the detriment of, if you're, like, say you're a massive Dead Daisies fan, it changed the sound slightly because not just his voice, I mean, he wrote the majority of these songs. So this to me sounds like Black Country Communion with a different guitarist, basically.
Well, I get that, and I see what you're saying.
And I'm not saying that in a negative way. This album's fucking fantastic.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that's where I was going. Dead Daisies with Corabi was great, and this is fucking great, too. I mean, this is undeniable. I just read a thing today where they've got another album already written.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's, hello pandemic. That's what happens.
Right.
So anyways, it's a good vehicle for Glenn Hughes. It's like, I don't know, you didn't think about it until it happened. You know, who could sing for them? Oh, Glenn Hughes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that does. That's kind of the same. It's hard rock, but it's, more of a, some older guys, classic stuff also. So, I mean, it fits. It works on paper when we heard about it. And as we know now, it really fucking works.
Yeah.
I mean, there's riffs, the fucking vocals. I mean, Jesus, dude, this is a great record.
Yeah. It's just like exactly what you expect from something that Glenn Hughes is a part of.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just like that, the next level vocals. I mean, he's not the voice of rock for...
Yeah, they don't call him that just for the fuck of it.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is one of the, like I've said before, if there's a Mount Rushmore of rock vocalists, he would be one of those 4 guys that I'd put on it. That's for damn sure. And this album, I mean, we had already heard the title track, which is one of the best songs on here, and then Like No Other Bassline, the second song.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that song is like, it's dumb to say at the end of January, song of the year, but it's definitely probably going to be in one of my top 10 songs of the year.
Oh, definitely.
When this year's over.
And Bustle and Flow, we've heard.
Yeah.
We know that's a great song. I really like Chosen and Justified. And then, I really loved 30 Days in the Hole. And that brings us to the other talking point about Dead Daisies.
Which that's a cover by, do you remember who did that originally?
It sounded...
I'm drawing a blank on it. I should know, but it's like one of those 70s bands like,
yeah,
it's Traffic or something, but it's not Traffic.
Yeah, it's one of those like,
those names you always knew, but you don't know much about.
I've probably forgotten
Humble Pie or something?
Yeah, I've probably forgotten it longer than I've remembered it, so...
Yeah. Well, the point you're getting at is that Dean Castronovo sang that song, and he's been the drummer, or at least twice now, I guess, and he stepped away again.
Right.
For quote-unquote personal reasons. So hopefully whatever's going on is good there, but they filled his spot with Tommy, say his last name?
Clufetos.
There you go. I never can remember how to say it.
I got you, man. I got you.
Who is Ozzy Osbourne's longtime drummer now,
Right.
and he was even the drummer for Black Sabbath when they did their final tour. But the question is, if you're not familiar with Dean's voice, go listen to Revolution Saints and it'll probably blow you away.
Right.
I mean, this guy was in a band with Steve Perry and can sing, Steve Perry songs at that level.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
What do you think about Revolution Saints? You think that'll still be a thing?
Eventually, it's not like they're like a touring band or anything.
Yeah, well, true. That's no shit. So
they'll probably do another one eventually.
Yeah. And we don't really know what's going on with Dean Castronovo, so...
And that's the thing that Glenn Hughes had said in an interview, that whenever they performed live, the plan was for him to sing all these songs and then throw in a couple of his Deep Purple songs, and then the Karabi era Dead Daisy songs Dean was going to sing.
Really? Yeah.
So now the question is, can Tommy sing?
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
This band is, if you follow Dead Daisies, they've had a huge turnover, but I think I always give them a pass because they said from the get-go that this band is a quote-unquote collective.
The revolving door.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it started with a totally different lineup than it has now outside of
the
David
main guy. David Lowy.
Lowy. He's kind of the head of the ship, and, he just brings in all his rock star friends to round this thing out. And I mean, it's a killer lineup now with Doug Aldrich, who has history with Glenn Hughes as well.
Right.
Because he performed with Glenn on that big Deep Purple tour they did a couple years ago, which would have been amazing to see. Yeah, so hopefully when live shows get back, they do some American shows,
Oh, definitely.
I'd love to see this, because Glenn Hughes is still number one on my bucket list of artists I've never seen. All right, anything else before we get into the Brian Wheat stuff?
I think that's it.
Well, I've read this book partially. You read this book in its entirety. What were your thoughts?
Oh, man, I thought it was fucking great.
Yeah?
There was, nothing held back as far as, stories or, his opinion on anything. And it was all the stuff you want to know about Tesla, all the questions you ever had answered.
Right.
And then some. I just really enjoyed it. It was just telling. It was, it really shined a light on who Brian was, and you kind of understand him a little bit better. And I think for any diehard Tesla fan, this is just, it's a treat. It's like when Metallica put out some kind of monster, or Pantera put out, all the Vulgar videos.
Yeah.
This is just one of those things where you just devour and you want that info, and it's all there. There's nothing held back. I really, really appreciated it and enjoyed it.
Yeah, because after all this time, this is the first thing. I mean, there's 5 members. Well, there's 6 members of Tesla throughout the years, and he's the first one to put anything like this out.
Right.
There's never been, like you said, there wasn't even a Behind the Music, was there?
No.
So there's never been an actual full-on documentary about them or anything.
And of all the guys to write one, he was kind of the business guy. The guy that held it all together, it seemed like, in a way.
Yeah.
So, this was probably the best out of the 5 to tell the story.
Yeah, it's true.
All the other stuff about, him buying the Victorian houses and, his upbringing and stuff, that was really interesting as well. Just, the non-Tesla stuff, all the Soul Motor stuff. It was just a great book.
So there you go. Check it out. Son of a Milkman is out now. You can get that thing pretty much anywhere. Books are available everywhere. Well,
Right.
not everywhere, but you got the internet. Amazon.com or TeslaTheBand.com. You'll find the thing. All right. So should we just jump into it?
Oh, yeah.
Here's Brian Wheat of Tesla. I'd seen that you had been working on this book for several years. Was this something that you were just kind of like, we'll finish it when we finish it, and then the pandemic kind of sped up the process of having the free time this year?
No, I had a release date before the COVID thing kicked in. It was always meant to be released December this year.
Okay.
The release dates are usually around a year out, so it was January of this year that I actually locked in that release date. So the COVID thing wasn't out yet.
Okay. How was the process? Like, how long did it take you? Was it a lot of just doing it here or there in between touring and working with Tesla and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I started it about 5 years ago. I first started it with this guy, Pete Mikowski in England. And then we worked on it for a while, and then we weren't able to, and it kind of stalled out there. And then I got this guy, Kenny Nicholson, to come on and basically finish the whole thing. And when we finished that, I sent it around to get some opinions of it. And the opinion came back, it read too much like an interview. And then I started working with Chris Epting about a year and a half ago. And that, once I started with Chris, was just doing stuff in between Tesla's touring and stuff like that. We'd get together or we'd Skype call or, whatever. And we finished it in about 8 months.
So is it one of those things where I know a lot of these situations, it's like you just talk to, like, did you talk to Chris for like hours and he just kind of compile everything together, or did you have a hand in the actual writing as well?
I didn't actually write, type. Chris did. Basically, I told him the story and he wrote it down.
Once you got to that point with him, was this a complete rewrite from the first couple guys you went through?
No, they're
redraft.
Parts. There are parts in their redraft. They're parts. We went through 3 drafts.
Okay.
They're parts from the original first thing I started with Pete Mikowski in the book, and stuff I did with Kenny, and new stuff I did with Chris. It was kind of a culmination of them all.
Going back to the very beginning, was this an idea you'd had for a long time, or was it something that somebody kind of suggested and pushed you into?
No one pushed me into it. No one pushes me into anything, really. I had thought about it when I was in therapy in the 90s. My doctor had suggested that one day maybe I considered writing a book, that it would help let go some of the things I kept inside, which caused me anxiety. And then, fast forward 30 years or whatever it's been since then, and almost 30 years, and it just seemed like the right time to do a book, in the sense that I'm approaching 60 and Tesla's approaching their 37th year of being a band. So it just seemed like the right time to do it.
You're obviously a pretty open guy, and that's a big part of this book, is being totally open. Or did you have any reservations about anything you put out there? Was there any second thoughts on anything, or was it all just kind of like, this is who I am and I'm telling this story?
It was, this is who I am and I'm telling this story. I think if I had second thoughts or anything, I wouldn't have put the book out.
Well, like you just mentioned, the anxiety, was that, I mean, kind of playing into that same question, was it daunting to put out something where you're so open and having anxiety, or was this kind of like just a therapeutic thing of being able to put it all out there?
I think it was more from a therapeutic thing of putting it out there and letting it go. Saying, okay, here it is, it's out. The cat's out of the bag, there it is. And, at that point, you can't worry about it anymore.
Right. Obviously, this book is told, it's your book, so it's told through your eyes and your story of your life. But when it comes to the actual accounts of Tesla, do you think if any of the other guys in Tesla wrote a book that the accounts would be different from their view, or is it just pretty much more straight across the board historical kind of thing?
I think, it's important for people to realize this is how I saw it, how I remember it. If Frank wrote a book where Jeff, would probably be different. They'd, remember it or seen it a different way. So it's not like, the book on Tesla, the band.
Right.
It's a book on Brian Wheat and the band Tesla and how he recalls it.
Is it intimidating at all to be the first member of the band to put stuff out there? Or do you just not really even think about that?
I didn't think about that too much. I just thought, well, I'm going to do a book. I thought, well, I'm going to paint some pictures. You know what I mean? That's just how I kind of am. I don't think the book hurt anybody. I didn't put anything in there that hurt anybody.
Right.
In terms of the band. So I just went, well, I'm going to do a book. And, Troy's told me he's working on a book, and Frank said he was considering working on a book as well.
Are you personally, are you a fan of other musicians' autobiographies at all?
Not really. No. No, I mean, no. I think I enjoyed the Marilyn Manson one.
Right.
I remember reading that. But no, I'm not a big biography. I did read Richard Pryor's biography and enjoyed that as well.
Yeah.
But not band ones, no.
Like as far as patterning it after anything, was there any thoughts to that, or is it just kind of like I guess Chris kind of helped with that?
No, I didn't really pattern it consciously after anything because I don't read that many books.
Gotcha.
So I just kind of, I guess the thing is I kind of wanted to tell the story from the beginning to the end, or the beginning until now. And, Chris put it in a book form to where it was more like a book, a traditional book probably should be.
You talk a lot about your autoimmune issues and everything. Does when you look forward into the next couple of years when touring picks back up, does it make you nervous at all after this whole COVID mess, or is it something you're already dealing with, so it's not really anything you think is going to affect you?
No, I mean, I'm always susceptible to the flu or whatever, and I get it, and that's that. It goes away. Do I think I imagine everyone will be wearing a mask, from now on.
Right.
For a while, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
So, no, I just do what I normally do.
I mean, did you take extra precautions when you're out on the road and, in the past?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I didn't wear masks. You didn't see anyone wearing masks.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a new one, right?
Yeah.
But, I tried to stay warm and wash my hands and not, go out in the cold and things that you normally do.
Yeah.
To try to stay healthy. Autoimmune disease isn't brought on by a virus or, airborne or anything. It's kind of genetic, hereditary kind of thing.
Yeah. I just didn't know if it affected you differently than it would if someone else, if you caught virus or something like that.
Well, I mean, I've had the flu before, bad flus, and they treat me like anyone else, I suppose.
Gotcha.
This COVID thing's all new. This is new, and I think I've had it, to be honest with you. I think I had it last year, because I got sick after I was on that boat. And, it was just like the normal flu, so I don't know, I don't know. Who knows, man? I'm the wrong guy to ask, but I do take precautions in terms of, I do what's, required like anyone else.
Well, speaking of the pandemic this year, besides, preparing your book and everything, like, how have you spent your personal time during this downtime of not being able to tour?
I moved to New York right when this thing kicked off. So I spent a lot of time getting that house in order. And with my wife and dogs. And that's pretty much all I did. There's not much to do. You're locked up. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. I mean, I did work on the book. So, I definitely was working on the book in April and May, putting the finishing touches on the book.
Gotcha.
Which I probably would have been doing anyways, even if I was on the road at that point in time. Because, like I said, I had a deadline already that I had to meet in terms of this release date.
Tesla released the Unplugged album earlier this year, and kind of being the Beatles guy in the band, like, talk about what that experience was like performing Abbey Road.
Well, it was pretty incredible. I'm sitting there and I'm in the studio playing my Hofner bass, singing We Can Work It Out, where Paul McCartney was playing his Hofner bass and singing We Can Work It Out in 1965. So it was definitely a trip, and I definitely was buzzing. It was a definite high point in my career.
I'm assuming, was that because of you? Were you the one that initiated that and made that happen?
Yeah, I was one of the people that did make that push to get that to happen. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was me and Andrew Daw from Universal Records. We were over there doing festivals, doing the Download Festival and stuff. And since we were over there, Andrew had mentioned maybe we should go into Abbey Road and record something, and then it turned into what we did.
We've had Frank Hannon on the podcast a couple times, and right after Shock came out, he had mentioned that Phil Collen was kind of the only reason you guys did that album. You had no plans of doing another album. Is that kind of a consensus opinion?
You mean the Shock album?
Yeah, making that because of like Phil Collen pushing for it to happen.
Yeah, well, I think we did the one song with Phil, the Save That Goodness song, and we had such a good time doing that with him that I think he said, well, we should do an album. And we went, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. So at the time, I don't think we were, chomping at the bit to go do a record. But, that's how it happens in Tesla. We just do things off the seat of our pants. And, it came out and we did it, and I think it's a really good record, and some people loved it and some people absolutely hated it. So what do you do?
Right. Did you, I guess from myself,
I didn't hate it. I'm not one of the haters. So
right.
I know Frank wasn't too happy with the album.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
From a fan standpoint, I thought the album was great. I love the songs, but I did notice that you could tell it had Phil Collen influence on it. You could hear a little bit of Def Leppard mixed in with Tesla to me, personally.
Yeah, you could do that. But so could, you know, and I say this to people, you could hear Def Leppard mixed in on Song and Emotion.
True.
Or you could hear Def Leppard mixed in on Easy Come, Easy Go. Or Def Leppard mixed in on Too Late for Love. Or Def Leppard mixed in on Hang Tough or The Party's Over on Great Radio Controversy. So we've always had a Def Leppard part of our sound.
True.
Maybe it just wasn't so obvious, you know, and the fact that Phil Collins' name was attached to it as well.
Yeah. I mean, has there been any talks about another studio album in the future, or is that kind of like you said, it'll happen if it happens?
I'm sure we'll do another one eventually. There's no talk right now. There's no talk about anything except, you know, the only top on everyone's top of their mind is when we're actually going to get together and be able to play concert again.
Right. I mean, because, you know, everybody's doing those live stream things or those Zoom style things. I know you guys did. I think you guys did one earlier to share the Zoom thing, but like, has there been any talks on that kind of stuff?
No, none right now.
Also, another thing that's kind of came up in recent years was, I know several years there was talk about a box set, and there's been mention of a lot of unreleased material. Is that still something that you think could see the light of day at some point?
I hope so. I mean, we have it. One day, hopefully, we'll get it out. You just, you know, we got to work it out with Universal and figure out, you know, how it's going to come out. And we tried before, and it kind of stalled out. So maybe after this COVID thing, maybe we'll get that out. Maybe that'll be the next thing you kind of hear from, you know, it's stuff from us.
Is that something you would personally be involved in, you think, as far as the curating of that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I personally involved in putting it together.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'd be involved in this as well.
When you say unreleased stuff, is it all stuff from like going way back to the 80s, or does it span the entire career?
Yeah, it's stuff that never made it on records and demos and live stuff and, you know, things like that. Things you would imagine would be in a box set. Not just a compilation of, you know, stuff you already got.
Right. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time with me today.
You got it, buddy.
There you go, Brian Wheat of Tesla. A huge thank you to Jody Best of Best Bet Promotions for her unwavering support of this podcast. Like that, a new adjective I threw in for her. And of course, a huge thank you to Brian Wheat for taking some time out there. He's also done some other great interviews on Mitch LaFon, Eddie Trunk, and several other places. I think he was even on Appetite for Distortion. So check all those out if you're a Tesla fan. And if you're a Tesla fan, check out our episodes 183, 252, and 292. Frank Hannon is on all three of those. 292 is actually our Eddie Van Halen tribute episode. And Frank's one of the guys that called in to talk about Eddie on that one. So Brian Wheat was just talking about Def Leppard there. Vivian Campbell's been on here. We've had Dizzy Reed of Guns N' Roses. If you like the 80s stuff, we've had on guys from Great White, Slaughter, Firehouse, Trickster, Gene Simmons and Bruce Kulick, both from Kiss. We've had on guys from Junkyard, LA Guns, Kicks, Lillian Axe, Taiketo. Man, the list is long. Check out all that stuff. Had on a lot of other stuff too, heavy. We go all over the place. 300 plus episodes you can check out prior to this one. Check everything out at TheThunderUnderground.com. You can listen there. You can find all our socials. So like us and follow us everywhere. Wherever you listen to this podcast right now, subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Like we said, coming up, we've got Austin Moe and Dino McCord from Red Voodoo. Those are both guys that Frank Hannon's got some involvement with. That'll be coming soon. We've also got one coming with a couple of guys from Bound by Years. And a few other things in the works. So stay tuned for all that. Follow us on YouTube at The Thunder Underground. Subscribe there. We've got a lot of videos that are separate from this podcast. Check out Tesla's most recent album. Came out about this time last year, spring of 2020. They released their Live at Abbey Road Unplugged album.
Great set.
Yeah, it's great that we talked a little bit about that here in that interview. And you actually got it on vinyl, right?
I've got it on vinyl.
I meant to, and I never have.
It's, I mean, what a package.
Yeah.
You need to find it.
Yeah. I will get that here eventually. But,
two LP set.
But yeah, definitely check that out. It's great. They throw in some great new stuff and a couple older songs that weren't on, the 5-Man Acoustical Jam album. So some very cool stuff from Tesla. And of course, their most recent album, Shock, that we talked about there. So look into all that. TeslaBand.com. All right. Once again, a huge thank you to Brian Wheat, Best Bet Promotions, Sunset Tattoo, DEB Concerts, MedFarm, and Hell Hot Hot Sauce. And until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.